that period, after the unbanning of the ANC, I was doing policy work in the headquarters of the African National Congress. And because I knew something about it, I'd not only continued my reading on agriculture, etc., but I'd also developed an interest in land reform. So I was responsible for land and agricultural policies. But anyway, so my earlier background was, developing a love for agriculture and then becoming really fascinated in some of the agricultural policy issues. That critical period before 1994, before the first elections, was a very important policy-making period. And that is when I, in that capacity as coordinator of policies, made contact with people like Johan van Zyl, Nick Funk, Eckhart Kassir, and they were all they all contributed towards the ANC policy-making process because, in effect, it was seen as the ANC preparing itself to govern. The World Bank assisted us a great deal then as well. And so we got some really excellent people to help us think through both some of the land policies and agricultural policies of different kinds during that intense period of policy making. Well, that had been thought about long before I had become the minister. It was we did, amongst other things, when we were looking at agricultural policy, we looked at it in all its dimensions. So what makes up your agricultural environment? What are the critical policy issues? Its extension work, its research, its marketing, its trade, and we even came up with a veterinary policy for that matter. So these are what I would call the critical components of an agricultural policy. So we started that work even before 1994. Then in the period leading up to my becoming the Minister of Agriculture, the then Minister of Agriculture in that cabinet, Cruyff van Niekerk, introduced a marketing act, or an amendment to what was quite an old marketing act. He introduced amendments to that marketing act. I felt, and a number of us in the ANC felt, that it did not go far enough. It didn't give expression to the kind of policy changes that we wanted to see. But nonetheless, he was the minister. It was approved by cabinet. And we also agreed, let it be approved, and then it can be strengthened and amended by the Portfolio Committee in Parliament. And that's exactly what happened. Janet Love was then the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee, and she went through a very intense period of consultation, worked actually quite closely with the South African Agricultural Union then, that became Agri-SA later, and worked with the industry, and of course individuals assisted her. And they basically recrafted that act. And that act, gave expression to some of our policies. And that act was very, very specific on the deregulation of the agricultural market, or reform of the agricultural marketing system. And it gave us, in the executive, 1 year, effectively to demolish all of the marketing boards, or control boards, as they are called in Afrikaans, beheerrade, to close them down and to put alternative systems in place to take the funds that they may have accumulated, put them into trust funds. And so in that very rapid period, I suppose, after the passing of that act, very dramatic changes happened in agriculture. So all of the marketing boards did close down, and those that did have money in their accounts, those monies were transferred into trusts. And so it was dramatic and rapid reform, if you like. But as I said, we were giving effect to the law, and that law was giving expression to the policy framework which we had long before already developed. Yeah, well, I think that there were distinct advantages in doing it very quickly, because it forced everybody to really get their feet on the ground and to hit the road running, and to say we're going to have to do this change. And it also eliminated sometimes unhealthy periods of lobbying and watering down what you seek to achieve. I suppose there's an alternative question that could be asked: would there have been any particular advantage in making it run over a longer period? And I can't, in hindsight even, can't think of any particular advantage that would have offered us. In fact, I think in doing it quickly, abruptly, I think it was better, because then we created certainty as quickly as possible. Well, I have no doubt that the appointment of Professor Eckhart Kassir was a really good appointment. I mean, they were very good agricultural economists, but in a way he was the elder statesman amongst them, if you like, and very well respected because it wasn't just a matter of knowing what needs to be done, but also enjoying the respect in the industry and doing it in the right way. So, just looking back, I have no doubt in my mind that he was a brilliant appointment. My stroke of brilliance, if you like. No, I think he did very, very well, extremely well. And I believe he remains a very respected figure in the agricultural world.